lights the stars at night? Who shines the sun? To this one I give my life, till my days are done. To this one I give my heart, till we merge as one. Again. Who lights the stars at night? Who shines the sun? Who lights the stars at night? Who shines the sun? To this one I give my life, till my days are done. To this one I give my heart, till we merge as one. This ending part now. Who lights the stars? Who shines the sun? Who beats my heart? Who is this one? Who lights the stars? Who shines the sun? Who beats my heart? Who is this one? Who lights the stars? Who shines the sun? Who beats my heart? Who is this one? Good morning. Welcome to Unity Church in Albany. And Paul Framont is our platform elf this morning.
As Kathleen said, this is Paul Framont. I'm on the board of trustees, Unity's Board of Trustees. I'm the treasurer, and we have announcements. First, prayer chaplains. Are prayer chaplains here? Dave? And again, you know the drill, but prayer at the back of the room after service, and Dave will be glad to pray with you. Today we have a guest, not minister, but a guest service provider, Maia Boswell-Penc, and when she gets up, she'll tell you what her topic is. This evening at 6 o'clock, this is a special evening. One Love is going to be, the One Love band is going to be here, and they've been here before, and they're very good and very popular, so this is a great time to come to the 6 p.m. service. Next Sunday, we're going to celebrate our 35th anniversary of the founding of Unity in Albany, and so join us for a special day next Sunday morning and special events in the fellowship hall after both services. The Tuesday Jane Bloom Book Club, again, they meet every Tuesday at 10 o'clock. They started the new book last week, and by John Shelby Spong, and the name of the book is Eternal Life, A New Vision. And again, you're welcome at any time. You don't have to be there every week for a certain book. So this Tuesday's a good time to participate in that book club. The Thanksgiving luncheon will happen, and there's sign up out in the hall, out in the Bradford Street hallway. The setup starts at 11 o'clock, and again, just at noon, at 12, at noon. The setup starts at noon. Okay. But more important, the sign-up sheet is out in the lobby. So sign up for what you're going to bring and come and have a good time. And Reverend Crystal's going to tell us about Giving Tuesday.
Don't leave me, Paul. So, I'm going to try to make this quick. We are participating in a fundraiser called Giving Tuesday. And it's a global event, actually, that happens the Tuesday after Thanksgiving. And his whole thought is that during this time, when we're talking about getting and all this other stuff, isn't it good to give to the organizations and non-for-profits that touch your heart? And so we are one of the organizations that hopefully touch your heart. This is what we need, and we're asking from you. We're asking that you contribute to our Giving Tuesday campaign. What does that mean? Up here, we have these blank signs, as Stephanie's holding up. Unity Albany gives me. And just like she did, we would love for you to fill in the blank of what do you think Unity Albany gives you. And then what we'll ask you to do, Paul, will you take my, you'll go up to someone today and go, can you take my picture? Thank you, Paul. And then all you need to do is send this to us. Now, know that you saying that you're taking the picture and sending the picture to us, you can email it to us. The church's email address is on the back of the bulletin. Says that also that we can use it. Also, in between services, this service and after the next service, Gene Toth is going to be here. We would love for you to maybe, okay, this is more of a little bit of an ask, to do a short video possibly. So, because the video can be like, what do you think of Unity? Oh my God, I love Unity. I love how it's inclusive. I love this. I love that. And I invite as many people to come. So that's what I get out of Unity. Quick, easy. We're going to use these as we build up to the Giving Tuesday and all through the day of Giving Tuesday so that we can ask people to support our mission. Our mission is to recognize each and every person as the truth of who they are, and we support them through prayer and service. And our services are abundant. You know, we have Earth Care. We have partnerships with Focus Churches and the Peace Projects, and we've done various things. Our community marches on with the Gay Pride, and we go to rallies because that's who we are. And we are asking that we get supported, more support, not just internally, but globally, so that we can continue to do that mission. So, and it's fun. So just remember, pick these up, fill them out, ask one of your neighbors here to take a picture of you, and send it to unityalbany@yahoo.com. And there it is. Thank you.
The community group that used to meet on the first Sunday of the month is temporarily suspending operations due to lack of interest. So if the interest reappears, the group will reform. And this would be a good day to pick up a Unity calendar. Many of the November dates have changed. And so this would be a good day to pick up a Unity calendar out in the lobby or in either entrance. Okay, so now will you join me for our mission statement? The mission of Unity Church in Albany is to awaken to and embrace the divine essence of all beings through prayer and service. And our vision statement? We celebrate the oneness with spirit and with the divine nature of all. So I have a short but important prayer. It's from St. Teresa of Avila. That's a city in Spain back in the 1500s. She was a noble woman who became a, I guess, monastic life, so I guess she became a monk anyway, but she did a lot of writing. Let nothing disturb you, nothing frighten you. All things are passing. God never changes. Patience obtains all things. Nothing is wanting to him who possesses God. God alone suffices. And for our daily word, my life unfolds in divine order. Examples of order and progression are all around me. The seasons, the tides, and all cycles of growth are happening in perfect sequence. Trying to rush the process or skip a step would create a disruption of this progression in nature. Like the seasons and tides, divine order guides my life's unfoldment. I take my cue from the natural world and don't try to rush my growth or take shortcuts to reach my goals. Instead, I awaken to divine order, realizing it helps keep my life in balance. With gratitude, I affirm divine order as I bless my mind and physical body for serving me so well. Acting on the guidance I receive from divine mind, I affirm divine order in all that I accomplish. And again, from the New Testament, from Mark, the earth produces of itself first the stalk, then the head, then the full grain in the head. Thank you.
Okay. I invite you to stand and join us on this song that comes from the Jewish Talmud. The words, sing it a couple times through. Could song fill our mouth as the water fills the sea, and could joy flood our tongue like countless waves? Could our lips utter praise as limitless as sky, and could our eyes match the splendor of the sun? Could we soar with arms like an eagle's wings, and run with gentle grace as the swiftest deer? Never could we fully state our gratitude for 1/10,000th of the lasting love that is your precious blessing, dearest God. Could song fill our mouth as the water fills the sea, and could joy flood our tongue like countless waves? Could our lips utter praise as limitless as sky, and could our eyes match the splendor of the sun? Could we soar with arms like an eagle's wing, and run with gentle grace as the swiftest deer? Never could we fully state our gratitude for 1/10,000th of the lasting love that is your precious blessing, dearest God. That is your precious blessing, dearest God. That is your precious blessing, dearest God. Thank you.
So, welcome to Unity Church in Albany, where we love to affirm that this is the day the Lord hath made. Let us rejoice and be. This truly is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Well, I'm so glad that you are here. Do we have anyone here for the very first time? We would love to meet you and also give you gifts. You can just raise your hand. And we have, Phyllis, we have one lady right over here, welcome. We're so very happy to meet you and that you came today. We have a very special service today, by the way, for you and for everyone else. We have Maia, as Paul said. Just kind of going back in memory banks of everyone, we are participating in Unity Earth Cares. It's a program that Unity as a whole does, and there are requirements for each and every step. We've already started one, which is the covenant, which is in all of your bulletins. Then one of the next steps to go to another plan, the next step, because we want to go from A to B to C, is to have talks on Earth Care, spiritual talks on Earth Care. So that is the commitment that as this ministry we said we would do. So Maia, as the co-chair with Jacob Spearfisher, is the co-chair with Jacob Spearfisher. She is here. She has a phenomenal amount of experience with the environments, which she'll talk about in her talk. So you're here on a special day. With that, though, she's going to start, as I do, once we go into meditation. But let us say our statement of oneness. The power of Christ's love now releases me from any separation from spirit or others. There is only one presence and one power in my life and in the universe. That one is God, the good, omnipotent. And so it is. And as Paul said, we have Dave as our wonderful chaplain. Usually Dennis comes in as the prayer lead team, also as another person. And I seen Marianne point to Phyllis. I don't know if Phyllis is doing the chaplain thing today. Yes. So at the very end, she's doing double duty today. She's doing ushering as well as chaplain. So we have a wealth of prayer. And in the front, in your pews, you also have an opportunity for us to pray with you. If there's any obstacles that you might be going through, and or if there's joy that you want us to celebrate and say thank you, God, for, you can find the prayer request forms. You can send them, place them in the wooden box on the wooden table. The prayer team prays. At the end of the month, we send all of your prayers to Silent Unity, where they pray with us for another 30 days. So with that, I invite you to relax, let go, prepare for meditation. Maia will be doing the meditation, and then after this prayerful time, going into her talk. So let us be still.
In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am, letting fear and worry fall away from me. I open my eyes and see there is there is only love. It's a love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. There is only love. There is only love. It's a love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
to practice Tonglen, which is an ancient Buddhist practice to awaken compassion. And so we're going to bring in Tonglen to awaken compassion for our beautiful hurting earth and all the creatures of this earth and all the people of this earth who are suffering. This is an ancient, rich, and it's a brave practice. It reverses our usual practice of avoiding suffering and seeking pleasure that we take on throughout our lives in habitual ways. So I invite you to place your feet on the ground, to get comfortable, and to come into presence in your body, to feel yourself resting on the earth. And I invite you to breathe in a feeling of heat, darkness, and heaviness, and to breathe out a feeling of cool, light, openness, and expansiveness. Breathe in the pain and suffering of the earth and all the creatures. And breathe out love, compassion, and light. Breathe in the pain, knowing that it will soften you and purify you. Breathe out light, love, compassion. And now I invite you to go into the silence. Bring your shoulders up, bring your shoulders down. Take a cleansing breath of light and love. Now I invite you to open your eyes. And I invite our musicians.
When I lose myself, when it seems I've lost my way, when I go inside and quiet my mind, I can hear Spirit gently say, there is only love. There is only love. It's a love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. There is only love. There is only love. It's a love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. It's a love that heals. It's a love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love.
Good morning. So I'm going to stay back here so that I can see the slides and as I'm moving through my talk. So Reverend Crystal often talks about spiritual evolution. And when Reverend Jim was here, he spoke about Elijah and Elisha, the teacher and the student, for about 2 phases of one person or family's spiritual evolution. And he talked about how evolving spiritually is about listening to our higher self, our divine self, our more creative self, rather than listening to the smaller ego self. And he said that the way to distinguish between those two voices, because sometimes we're really not quite sure, the way to distinguish is to, when we're hearing the voice of our divine self, we feel it comes up. It's a voice of love, an expansive voice. And this is about discernment. So evolving spiritually is about listening to spirit and discovering which of the spirits speak for us and which is our own perhaps less courageous. Yes. It's coming in and out. Yes.
So let's do this.
Thank you. All right. Excellent. Okay. How is that? Scooch over a little bit. All right. Is that better? All right. So, the Sakyong Mipham, who is a Buddhist teacher in the Shambhala tradition, talks a little bit about this, and I want to read a quote that he says. Is that okay? All right. Okay. He says, I meet many people, and I can tell just by how they look or speak that they are hampered by drip, a Tibetan word that describes contamination of ourselves and the environment, the depletion that comes from living on the me plan. Drip is the opposite. Drip is the opposite of wind horse. Wind horse thrives on discernment and intelligence. Drip thrives on lack of it. It is the element that exudes when we engage in aggression and fixation. We think we have to push to get to where we want to go. When our mind is habitually agitated and discursive, drip becomes a veil of normality. We believe it doesn't matter what we say, think, or do, or eat. Living our life
in a nonchalant way, we miss so many opportunities. We forget about wisdom and compassion. We forget that every moment of our life is important. So he sets up this dichotomy, and drip gets associated with dirty fuel, but also with a lack of attention to our dress, to what we're eating, to our level of presence, and to our habituation to addictive behaviors. Zoning off on, the internet, but also to a lack of attention to nature. So Wind Horse, on the other hand, is about coming into presence, being present for our lives. It's about discernment and courage. So how do we, as people of faith, come into spiritual evolution? So on the night of the Buddha's enlightenment, we are told that Siddhartha meditated under a Bodhi tree. He goes to nature, and he sits in nature. And all through the night, as the story goes, Mara, the tempter, comes to him and hurls temptation after temptation at him. And does anyone know the story, remember what the final greatest temptation was that Mara brought? Anyone? So the last temptation, the greatest one, is self-doubt. And as the story goes, Siddhartha, as he's becoming the enlightened one, invites Mara to tea. So he's not closing out the things that he's afraid of, the things that seem threatening. Rather, he takes Mara in and invites him to tea. But the story goes that just before that moment, he does something that's really significant. He reaches down and he touches the earth. He touches the soil to give him balance and a sense of courage and hope and wisdom. And we are also told in the Bible that Jesus also goes to nature. He goes to the Garden of Gethsemane to pray and to meditate on the night before his final temptations, or the night before his final act of courage. And throughout the night, Satan tempts him. And as it comes towards morning, he gathers the courage to go into that final act of courage. So the Bible and all the wisdom traditions are filled with images, metaphors, parables, and stories of the earth. We get stories about locusts and floods, and we get parables of tiny mustard seeds becoming huge, vibrant plants. And we also get stories of place. So we have Jesus preaching on the mount, Jesus going to the shore to bring in fishermen and make them disciples. And metaphysically, as the Fillmores say, these have to do with states of mind, spiritual evolution. But they also have to do with physicality. They have to do with earth as our home, our shelter, our beautiful surroundings. So we are told earth and nature is divine. It is all. It is us, and we are earth, dust to dust. So Wind Horse is about coming to see and act from our divine goodness, using our power and our gifts to honor and protect nature, allowing Earth to evolve in a natural way rather than in an unnatural way, according to drip, according to our smaller ego selves who deal in a more extractive mentality. Carolyn Merchant, a feminist geographer, talks in her book called The Death of Nature about the progression through time from a time when humanity tended to see nature as alive and imbued with spirit and something to be honored and worshipped, through the scientific and industrial revolutions to a place where we came to see Earth as dead and inert and something that to be extracted, something to own. And mountaineer and journalist Dar Jamel, in his book The End of Ice, talks about this way of seeing Earth as this more so-called evolved way of seeing Earth. And he talks about it in terms of, he calls it the sickness of exploitation or cannibalism, where we're consuming another's life for our own, or in the Native American terms, is called Watiko. Okay. Oh, whoops. And some examples, the annihilation of the buffalo in one generation, the genocide of Native Americans, and the extracting of millions of Africans from their homeland and their families and their culture, extracting them and treating them as things to own. Greta Thunberg also talks about this kind of exploitation or cannibalism in terms of an intergenerational exploitation, that younger generations are feeling the exploitation of being left with an earth that is much diminished. So how do we generate Wind Horse? How do we start to see Earth as imbued with spirit and alive? Particularly when we live in a culture where messages bombard us to consume more, to, to multitask more, to go for more convenience, where we're given a plastic bag or a card and a gallon of milk, and where we move along with business as usual, and where we go around pretending that we're not collectively sitting squarely in the middle of the impasse of all impasses. So how do we stop this denial and wake up to the fact that currently our planet is in a state of dire crisis? How do we confront a time where forest fires are swallowing California and many parts of the world, where much of the global south is destined to become uninhabitable due to extreme drought and heat, where crop yields are going down because of climate crisis, and where sea level is swallowing up island nations and entire countries such as Bangladesh. And this is an environmental justice issue, an issue of environmental racism, because we know that those who are the most impacted by these changes are people in the global south, and also people, Native American people, people of color, poor people who are living in our inner cities and more subjected to environmental damage. Having a bit of a, here we go. Okay, so the IPCC, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, announced a few months ago that we have a window of 10 years in which to turn things around. Others say that Jamal, for one, says this document is politicized, and that really the feedback loops have already started to go into motion. So environmentalists are constantly debating the issue of framing. And there's a lot of fear in environmental communities worrying that if we don't pay attention to framing, we could really lose this battle. Because what tends to happen is that when we start thinking about things that are very much scare-inducing, oftentimes we go into denial and we shut out the truth. And they say we really need to focus on positive messaging. And in a climate where messaging is huge, as we know, I want to keep this question open and switch gears a little bit and go into a little bit of storytelling about my own story. Oops. Okay. So, This is a story that happened several years ago. I was at my former church in the conference room waiting for a class to start. And for once in my life, I was early. And so I reached in my book bag and took out the book that I was reading, which was this book, The Sixth Extinction. And my senior pastor at the time said, "Oh, what are you reading?" And I said, "Well, this is The Sixth Extinction, and it's about the fact that we currently live in the sixth great extinction, the last being the period where all dinosaurs perished when a meteorite hit the earth, all dinosaurs larger than a domestic cat, so this huge cataclysm." And she said her response was kind of like this, "Oh, I can't go there." And I was talking about this issue with a friend recently, and she did a similar response, kind of like, "I work so hard to be positive and happy. I can't go there." And I was thinking about it because I remembered, as she said that, not too many years ago, a friend asking me, "Are you going to read Bill McKibben, who's a big environmentalist, are you going to read his then latest book called Earth, which is about how the Earth we currently inhabit is a different Earth than most of us grew up with because of climate crisis?" And my reaction was, I cannot go there. I am in the middle of major crisis here. I can't go there. And so I want to talk a little bit about what brought me to this place and what brought me out of this place. So I had been teaching environmental justice courses at Albany for several years, looking at the inequitable environmental policies that we tend to adopt in our country. This is Warren County, North Carolina in 1982, which is seen as the beginning of the environmental justice movement. And I had really been wrapped up in thinking about these issues. I was coming up on my tenure case. I thought things looked really good. I published my book and my 5 peer-reviewed articles, feeling pretty good. And then crisis hit. One of my colleagues accused me of plagiarism in my book, and that sent everything into a huge tailspin. 5 years of just devastation. I ended up being cleared of the charges, but losing my tenure battle. And it was during this time that I was just so lost and just filled with so much pain, as we say in Buddhist circles, cocooning, lost in this little cocoon where you're surrounded by your own filth and just not letting the light and the air in. And in my case, the mental anguish turned into physical anguish. I ended up having to have back surgery. My doctor said I couldn't run, or cross-country ski, which are my mental health salvations. So I was moving along in this complete cocoon phase and saying, I just cannot read that book. And then my doctor said, "Well, if it's really your thing, you can go out, but just don't go far or fast." So I went out for a cross-country ski. I took a podcast of Tara Brach, a Buddhist teacher who I love. And this was the real turning point for me, and I think it's really an important point. Tara talked about how the real the Buddhist path, and I think it holds for all wisdom traditions, the way that we can really face pain and crisis is not by running away, turning away. And she articulated, according to the Buddhist path, that life is suffering, that suffering is caused by our attachment and our desire, and that we can find freedom from suffering by coming into presence and by opening our hearts to that suffering and that pain, and feeling our hearts raw and open and not turning away. And so in the case of environmental degradation, rather than putting up a barrier of self-protection that's constructed of our just habitual responses, going into these trances of eating, drinking, planning, rushing, going off on social media, we can really come into presence and not turn away. And we can really allow the grief to puncture our hearts. And so this wasn't something that was new to me, but it came as such a revelation at this point, because I was so attuned to pulling away from the pain and getting distracted. And so I think that the response, rather than denying eco-anxiety, is to really open to the pain and become a silent witness to what's happening to our polar bears, and open to the fact that scientists say that amphibians are going extinct at a rate 45,000 times the background extinction rate that we would expect. They're the most vulnerable to climate change. And I think it's also important, as we become silent witnesses to what's happening, to realize that for now we are alive and our planet still can be saved to a certain extent, and to set our intention to join with others in collective goodwill and to celebrate that we do indeed tread on sacred ground. And we can set our intention to stop focusing on cocooning stories, and we can know that this can be part of our healing. So I believe that this impasse we now inhabit is a spiritual and a moral crisis. And the reds and the oranges here are showing areas that are expected to have lower crop yields due to climate change. And so, as you can see, this is an environmental justice issue. So as long as we continue on with business as usual without putting environmental awareness and action at the very center of every decision, we need to ask ourselves why we're going into avoidance. And so I want to talk a little bit about what that means to me. I think in one way, putting environmental awareness at the center of our being is to educate ourselves. And that might mean looking at David Wallace Wells' book, The Uninhabitable Earth. There's also a great review of it in the New York Times Review of Books. Or perhaps watching Nash and Hogan's award-winning film called Climate Refugees. Or it may mean voting, writing letters to other constituents or to our leaders, our legislators, going to legislative hearings, weighing in on pending legislation. It may mean going to rallies or even participating in civil disobedience. Or it may mean writing blogs, educating our children. I think it means doing whatever, discerning, what our gifts are and doing whatever we feel that we can do. And for me, it meant buying a used electric vehicle, very cheap and comes with a lot of inconvenience, I must say. Getting solar panels, making sure to always compost, not throw away organic material, since it causes methane, a huge driver of climate change. Eating food that's going bad first, so that we're not wasting food, which is another huge driver of climate crisis. And it may mean bringing up these issues amongst our friends and having the courage to risk appearing weird, as I know I oftentimes do. And for me, after that run, where I listened to Tara Brock's podcast, it meant going home and brushing off Bill McKibben's book and starting to research again environmental practices and policies. And this brought me to discover that 60% of our greenhouse gases globally come from the meat and dairy industry. So it brought me from a practice of having been a vegetarian for many years to moving as much as possible towards a plant-based diet. So, we have a commercial break. Oops. What am I doing wrong? It worked this morning. It did work.
Do you find yourself longing for the apocalypse? I did. I was looking for a reason to live. Hi. Are you feeling tired, irritable, stressed out? Well, you might consider nature.
From the people that brought you Getting Outside comes prescription strength Nature, a non-harmful medication shown to relieve the crippling symptoms of modern life.
Nature's recommended for humans of all ages, and it's great for pets too.
Nature can reduce cynicism, meaninglessness, anal retentiveness, and murderous rage. In clinical studies, Nature is proven to decrease work-induced catatonia.
Caution. Nature may cause you to slow down, quit your job, or seriously consider what the you're doing with your life.
If you are overly cynical, jaded, or emotionally numb, you may need to increase your dose of Nature. Do you have trouble being even mildly uncomfortable? Nature may not be right for you. Side effects may include spontaneous euphoria, taking yourself less seriously, and being in a good mood for no apparent reason.
So ask your doctor if nature is right for you.
I'm glad you appreciated that as much as I do. So, going into nature, going into the silence, going deep within, going through the portals and accessing Windhorse. These are the portals to freeing ourselves from Watiko, from direct and from our less evolved selves. And these remind us that everything on this beautiful earth is connected intimately, and to allow one species, one region, or one people to slip into extinction is to allow disease and chaos to spread. So we can wake up and start loving and caring for all species and all people of this earth. So during the next few weeks, Unity's Earth Care team will be showing films, panels, having workshops. Next week, we'll be showing this film, The Need to Grow, which is a very positive film. And Mark Creighton has been working on bringing us to solar energy. We've set up a compost bin, so right after church, we will have a little teach-in about composting, if anybody cares to listen to that. And we are looking into possibly moving towards non-disposable plates and cutlery and towels. And some of us have marched in, this was the September 20th student march for the climate. And so there's a sign-up sheet out in the hallway if you'd like to join our team. And we're going to be continuing our efforts as time goes on. So I'd like for us now to read together. Oh, also, we're going to be moving on to this film and discussion, the Pachamama and Drawdown, in a few weeks. So if we could read together the Unity Covenant, and Mark or anyone else who's part of the Earth Care team, if you would come up with me. All right. And I believe you all have copies of it in your bulletin. So we'll read together. We, as a sacred community, envision a human society that acknowledges and respects the intrinsic value of all beings. We strive to live in an ecologically responsible and sustainable way in harmony with nature. We live in gratitude and appreciation while working to bring this awareness to others. We realize our place in the interdependent web of life, this planet, and affirm our reverence for all aspects of God's creation, known and unknown to us. Let us join together as we mindfully support the protection of planet Earth's diverse ecosystem. We agree to transform our individual and congregational lives into acts of moral witness, to live with ever-increasing awareness and mindfulness of how our actions impact the balance of nature, and to work with determination and grace to bring climate justice. We dedicate ourselves to all in our power to live in a way that allows planet Earth's innate resilience to restore and maintain physical conditions and huge diversity of life forms that interactions support human existence. We declare our covenant with Spirit to walk lightly upon this beautiful earth as we hold this vision for the greatest good of all creation. Thank you. And now I invite musicians to join us.
We'll do this song that you, I'm sure, know, and you can join us on the chorus as we go. Maia suggested the song, and we had prepared a different song, and then Pete was not feeling well, and we thought, let's just do this one. So we pulled it together this morning. And, you can use mine.
We'll share it.
Sunshine on my shoulders makes me happy. Sunshine in my eyes can make me cry. Sunshine on the water looks so lovely. Sunshine almost always makes me high. If I had a day that I could give you, I'd give to you a day just like today. If I had a song that I could sing for you, I'd sing a song to make you feel this way. Sunshine on my shoulders makes me happy. Sunshine in my eyes can make me cry. Sunshine on the water looks so lovely. Sunshine almost always makes me high. If I had a tale that I could tell you, I'd tell a tale sure to make you smile. If I had a wish that I could give you, I'd make a wish for sunshine all the while. Sunshine on my shoulders makes me happy. Sunshine in my eyes can make me cry. Sunshine on the water looks so lovely. Sunshine almost always makes me high. Sunshine almost all the time makes me high. Sunshine almost always.
So now is our time for our offering. You're invited to take your offering, place it to your heart. I like to place it to your heart. You can put it in your hands. And let's say our offertory statement together. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. We are blessed to know that Spirit is our source. Thank you, Father, Mother, God. It is so. Amen.
So you notice in the verses, there's two lines that come in all of the verses, the second and fourth lines. Sing those with us as you learn them. It's easy. And then the chorus. So here we go. Turn me, earth, to a new sunrise. Turn me into the light of
morning.
Turn me, earth, when I close my eyes. Turn me into the night.
Turn me, earth, to the blackbird's trill.
Turn me into the light of morning.
Rounding into the whippoorwill.
Turn me into the night. Here's the chorus. Turn me, turn me, turn me into the waiting dawn. Turn me, turn me, turn me into the night. Try it. Turn me, turn me, turn me into the waiting dawn. Turn me, turn me, turn me into the night.
As you're spinning light and dark.
Turn me into the light of morning.
Turn me, earth, around your star.
Turn me into the night. Through the seasons we will go.
Turn me into the light of morning.
Summer rain and winter snow. Turn me into the night. Chorus. Turn me, turn me, turn me into the waiting dawn. Turn me, turn me, turn me into the night again. Turn me, turn me, turn me into the waiting dawn. Turn me, turn me, turn me into the night.
Mother Earth, your child I into the light of morning. And I was born for this dance. Turn me into the night.
Round and round the sun we fly.
Turn me into the light of morning. Thank you for this life. Turn me into
Stand up
the
and sing
night.
with you. Turn me, turn me, turn me into the waiting dawn. Turn me, turn me, turn me into the night. Turn me, turn me, turn me into the waiting dawn. Turn me, turn me, turn me into the night. Last line. Turn me into the night. One more. Turn me into the night. Nice, thanks.
Marianne, Phyllis, if you join us, please. Come right here. So let us lift up the energy. Let us bring up the chi. Thank you, Marianne. Like the violin of chi raising, I tell you. Yes. Or the two snaps of energy waving. So let us place that laughter, that love, that joy. And together we thank you, God, for your unending good flowing forth through each and every one of us. And collectively as Unity Church in Albany, we humbly thank you and accept your tithes through each and every person, your prosperity through each and every person, of finances, of service and talents, of time. And we ask you to continue to bless each and every person as each and every one has blessed us. Thank you, sweet Spirit. And we also know that for everyone who is doing this via PayPal, via the website, that these blessings manifold and are sent to you as well and on your offerings there. Thank you, sweet Spirit. Amen. Something that I neglected to say at the very beginning, and if you have time to do two things, grab, I don't see anyone rushing for the signs, so please, hopefully there will be a stampede of people trying to get the signs here for Unity Church, Unity Albany Gives to fill out and have your selfie done. But also, you'll notice in your pews, there's multicolored sticky notes, and that's to answer the questions. Yeah, those are the prayer slips. So there should be, well, maybe, okay, yeah. So Terry has some, and there's some around. We're going to find them. It looks like we have been so, and Delanne has some over there. So we have questions that we've been answering. And so today's question is, what does the unity message mean to me? And so in these next couple of minutes, think about it, and would love for you to jot it down on the sticky notes and place them there. Again, this is to help us do the value statements. It was reminded by Carol that our president has already done these cloud messages, and they're beautiful. And so we use the words that you collected, and that's how we're seeing what is important. Is through the cloud message. It's a beautiful piece of art, and also it's a visual statement as to the words that are coming together for each and every person. What are the common denominators? And so with that, I do not see Jean. So after the service, if you want to be photographed, even if you want to be videotaped saying that, I would be happy to videotape that so that, again, you can help us in our campaign for Giving Tuesday. So with that, let us proceed. Everyone is invited to hold hands.
Move to the center.
One big circle.
Here we go. When there's light in the soul, there is beauty in the person. When there's beauty in the person,
there is harmony within the home. When there's harmony within the home, there's order in the nation. When there's order